why publishing in indexed journal and successful writing for academic publishing. So Dr. Sharada Ramesh has covered most of the topics about impact factor and where the citations are done, how the impact factor is being calculated. I think some of the slides I can skip because it is all repetition, I feel. So only the point relevant to my topic alone, I will just go ahead. Why publishing in indexed journal? So nowadays, in the academician, for academicians and the PhD scholars and the people who are doing PG, it is a need of the hour. And either because of university pressure or because of your promotion there in your college or university, you wanted to do, right? And in all the universities, this performance appraisal is an ongoing process. Annual performance appraisal is done based on your research publications and other things. So with that, people really rush to publish more and more journals, more and more articles there in the indexed journal. So it is very easy to publish in any of the non-indexed journal or any Google Scholar indexed journal. But now what we are trying to address is we wanted to publish in a high indexed journal. So the ranking of high indexed journal, Madam has explained also. So in this presentation, we are going to discuss about what is indexing and what is meant by indexed journals, benefits of publishing in indexed journal, basic considerations for publishing in ISI indexed, why and for whom, and understanding of journal indexing services and how to evaluate, discuss the most important general considerations in publishing in ISI journals, and successful writing for academic publishing. So why we need to publish? Why we need to publish? Because the research, teaching, that is knowledge generation, happens through research, and teaching, in the area of teaching, for the knowledge dissemination also, this research is needed and publication is essential. And for extension, that means for applying the knowledge, translational research, we need these kind of publications. That publication should be there in the, publications makes our research findings public, that is opening to the examination and used by other scholars and knowledge users. So these are the main three focus area in Higher Education Institute for publishing. So why that publication should be done in index? Nowadays, we talk about only Scopus indexed and Web of indexed journal. That too, a peer-reviewed journal we wanted to publish. So why the necessity is there? Because of the requirement for graduation or PhD, requirement for promotion, and to be recognized in the field, to disseminate the knowledge or to get higher accreditation level in the college or university. So what are the advantages? So when you do publish your paper there in the indexed journal, what is your advantage? Visibility and the credibility. Your credibility goes high and everyone across the globe come to know about your paper, come to know about the author. And peer review, because it goes for rigorous peer review and your article also gets standardized and it meets the scientific criteria of publication. And academic and professional recognition. For getting recognition, we do. And access to a wide audience, as I told you earlier, globally, it is getting recognized. And it is having a strict archiving and preservation policy. Any high indexed journal, if you go and see, they will be having any time, in any point of time in your life, if you want to take back the article which you published another 20 years back, you will be able to take back the article and review. So that archiving facility, storage facility is there in that high indexed journal. And for validation of your research will be validated properly in high indexed journal. So simply you cannot do any kind of publication in this Scopus and Web of Science indexed journals. And it also creates, when you have the good number of publication in the indexed journals, it also creates some of the funding opportunity. Any of the ICMR funding and any of the extramural research funding, when you apply, it is easily getting sanctioned. And it is for your career advancement as well as it is a contribution to your field also. So where to publish? So what is the difficulty level of publishing? It is starting from the book chapter to the indexed journal. It is very easy for the book chapter to be published than presenting in the conference. But Publishing there in the non-indexed journal is quite tougher than presenting the paper there in the conference. But what is the difficult level? Where the difficult level is high means it is publishing in the indexed journal, that too in the high indexed journal. So what is indexing? We are talking about indexing, high indexed journal. What is indexing? Indexation is of a journal is considered a reflection of its quality. It is nothing but it shows its quality. Indexed journals are considered to be of high scientific quality as compared to non-indexed. Yes, that's why it is called non-indexed and indexed. So it is vital to the reputation, reach, and consequently impacts of journal articles also. If a research article is published without being added to any academic indexes, does it have an impact? Maybe you may think that yes, it is published without added in any academic indexes. So maybe you will not get an impact. It's not like that. It also has got an impact. So what are the criteria for meeting the widest indexing index? For getting a wide indexing impacts, what criteria the publishers will have? They will have two standard criteria. One is basic publishing standards. The other one is highest technical indexing standards. So basic public, they will see to that whether they maintain both. What are the basic indexing standards? To meet basic indexing requirements, journals should have following these things. That is, one is they should have ISSN number. Madam has explained, and the previous speaker has explained very clearly about these things. So one is ISSN number. The other one is DOI, that is Digital Object Identifier. It identifies your journal, your manuscript very easily, and it is giving a permanent number for it. An established publishing schedule. So there should be a publishing schedule. That means how much time they will take for peer review, how much time from the peer review, how much time it will take for publication. All those things, run along time will be mentioned very clearly. And a copyright policy, how the copyright should be, whether copyright will be there with the author or it should be transferred to the publisher, those kind of things will be very clear. Then basic article level metadata and open access, whether it will be kept as an open access or not. And most of these, all indexing journals will have the open access facility. So these are the basic indexing standards they will be having. So for example, the top general indexes, that is EBSCO, then DOAJ, then Gestor, then CLO, then Scopus, and Web of Science. These are the general indexes we call it as. So what technical aspects or the journal should have? There are two main models we will say. One is web crawler. See, even if they meet the general basic criteria also, nowadays it is a techie era, so our journals should have the technical abilities also to capture our paper very easily. So which is something called web crawlers, and another one is called content deposit or metadata. What is web crawler? That is some indexes such as Google Scholar index, journal articles. On their own via web crawler, it will automatically, through the internet, it will crawl the websites to gather information. So for example, the moment when you put your title, it will be grabbed and it will project it. In all the colleges, we normally, all researchers will have researcher ID and resurgence ID, Archid ID. So all those things, what for it is important? To give a unique identification to the author. Suppose if you have published some paper, if you have this ID, when you go on, you need not to go and manually add those things in your database. The moment when it is published, it will have the ability to capture your article. If you have used the same name consistently, definitely it will be captured very easily. Or if you have used Archid ID, capture and it will show in your database itself. Yes, you have published this one in the last month. So this kind of ability will be there in the journals. Then something called metadata. In this case, machine-readable metadata files must be deposited into the index so that index can process article information and know what to return in search results. Now to understand of journal indexing services. So as Madam has discussed, yes, these are the indexed journals we say. So there are two types of things we have to compare here. One is coverage, the other one is quality. Which is covering wide area of data, that is Google Scholar. Even you will see a very good article there in the Google Scholar. But as she said, that it is not that reliable nowadays. It cannot be counter-checked. The facts cannot be counter-checked again. So that is the reason the quality wise it is there in the lower end. Then the second level is DOAJ. The third, then Scopus or Elsevier and Web of Science. Here you may get confused. Actually, these two, the top two, Elsevier and Web of Science, they complement each other. These two categories are equally good, and they are different there in some aspects of search engines and other things. Otherwise, both Web of Science as well as Elsevier, Scopus, they equally contributing a good quality articles there that in various field of science and medical sciences. So what is ISI? It stands for Institute for Scientific Information. It was founded by Eugene Garfield in 1960. So this ISI journal, this means this Web of Science journal list, if you want to retrieve, you have to type and identify that clarivate.com. So the website is given here. If you click that, you will get a list of journals which are available under Web of Science. Under Web of Science, you will find plenty of nursing journals, especially. Medical journals are also there, and all the fields you will find. But you have lot of nursing journals there in the Web of Science. So, ISI covers thousands of academic journals which are available in that. You will be able to get it through this database. Then how to find it? There is a master list. When you click that master list in that website, you will be able to get it. So, or sometimes if you really wanted to know whether it is from Web of Science journal list or not, you can type the journal and see, because when you go to the clarivate.com website, you will identify, when you type your journal, it will tell you that whether it is coming under that, like Shimago, how we search there in that. The same way you can identify here also. Then how to check ISI journal? Again, this Clarivate analysis, this is the screenshot I have put. For example, I want to see whether this Journal of Nursing Scholarship, which is there under Web of Science or not. The problem what we are facing nowadays, today the journal is there in Scopus. After few days, if you see, the same journal is removed from Scopus. This is the challenge now academicians and the researchers are facing. For that, you have to really go to the journal metrics and see that whether the journal has been there for many years, which is Q1 index or Q2 index. It is safe to be there, always there in Q1 and Q2 index. Of course, the charges are very high. And you have to see the scope of the journal also, which areas it is covering. Sometimes in the scope itself, you will identify that there are some other articles which is not related to that field. Scope of the journal is getting published. There we can have a doubt all the time that definitely this journal quality is going down, very soon it will be removed. So that kind of doubt also should be there. So when you type there in that box, that search box, you will get the details of that particular journal which is shown in the screen. You see the Journal of Nursing Scholarship, which is one of the top nursing journal there under Web of Science. So the moment when it is put, it is showing the publisher, it is Billy Publishers, and what is the ISSN number, what category it comes under. All the details are there in that. And it is also going to give, if you go to the Shimago journal search site, it will give whether it comes under Q1 or Q2 index, which year it is Q3, which year it was Q1, all those things it will be shown. So nowadays, the information is on your desk. Only thing you have to search and identify. You can't be the prey for all these predatory publishers. Then there is something called ISI proceedings for conference. In the conference, any conference, sometimes what do they do? Whatever papers you are presenting, that will be indexed in it. So some of the ISI proceeding is an index to the published literature of the most significant conferences or symposia or colloquia or workshops and convention in a wide range of discipline. So those things will be registered in that book itself, that it will be shown that ISI proceedings for the conference. It is also a kind of publication. You may think that presenting a paper there in the conference is not a publication. It is also a kind of publication, provided if it covers with the proceedings for the conference. This is an example. This is one of the screenshot I have taken from Google Scholar ID. That the previous speaker explained about the high index, H index, what is H index, what is item index, and what is citation. So I don't want to go in depth in this. So this is the way how Google Scholar is giving the graphical representation. The same way, similarly, the Scopus and Web of Science also will give the statistics about your manuscripts and about your author citations. So each individual author citations, how many you have, and what is your H index, and what is your item index. So if you are having item index more, your item value is more, that means she's told that it has to be multiplied with 15. So that many number of times you are getting cited. So this is the meaning behind. Then coming to Scopus indexing service. If you want to see something, Scopus website itself, you can go scopus.com, and there you can go and search your subject area. If you just search your subject area nursing, then it will give you a lot of journals about nursing. If you want to go specifically about medical surgical nursing or any medical fraternities, if they want to specifically go for the biochemistry journal or microbiology journal, they can put, it will give you a lot of information about the, from there you will choose. Before choosing that particular journal to put your manuscript, you just see to that the journal metrics, what is their run along time or how much time they are taking for publication. There will be some of the Web of Science index journal or Scopus index journal. If you go to the journal metrics and see, they will be mentioning very clearly that it is a biannual journal. That biannual journal means it will come 6 months once. You will submit the article and you will be waiting here for another 6 to 7 months. Your article never goes for peer review and nothing. So those ideas you have to get at the beginning of the time itself. Sometimes the journal is good, but the article processing time is taking too much. Everything they will mention there in their website itself, if it is an indexed journal. Only the clown journal or all these kind of predatory journal, you will not get such kind of information. So depends on that, you can decide which journal and the specific area of critical care nursing or any kind of emergency care services. If you want to put such kind of manuscript, select specifically and go with that. Then there is another search engine, which is a DOAG, that is Directory of Open Access Journal. Here also you can search and identify what are the journals comes under this. There is something called unique author identifier. So what is that? Each author will be given a unique ID. As I told you already, sometimes the people will have the, due to some reasons, they change their names. Maybe before marriage, the name was different. Then after marriage, you wanted to add. There is a possibility of writing to the editor and getting that. But the thing is, it takes time. So better to use the same name throughout your publication. If you change little bit here and there, your initial, the beginning, end, all those things are going to have a problem in your visibility. Also, when you have an ID, Scopus ID, researcher ID, or ResearchGate ID, or Archid ID, and it will, that Archid ID is similar. Even if you change your name differently also, that Archid ID remains the same. So then what will happen is it is able to capture your article very easily if you mention your Archid ID in all your publications. So this was explained by the previous speaker already, so I don't want to go into it, which is about the impact factor. Then, how do you select the ISI journal? So when you select the journal, how do you select? Choose field of knowledge. So what field you are going to contribute? Then find the journal's impact factor and quartile. Quartile is very important. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 are there. Try to take journals from Q1, Q2. Because even if the quality goes down also, it will go either Q3 or Q4, but it will not be removed from the list. But you have already taken a journal from Q4, then anytime there is a possibility of removing that journal from the list also. So for all journals selected, visit their website. This is very important. Without visiting their website, never ever jump into the conclusion. Check type of work accepted. What are the work they accept? Whether they accept review, original research article, or letters to the editor. Even letter to the editor is a kind of publication, we say. And check the turnaround time. This is what I told. How much time they take for each article submitted. Once it is submitted, till the publication, how much time they take. There are some what is that, journals. I know that this is my personal experience, even 1.5 years to get published. That is also there. So we have to really check inside and see that how much time it is taking. Because I was just looking for, before getting this much in-depth knowledge, I started publishing there in the above science without seeing that turnaround time, because it was very closely related to my topic and the manuscript. But later only I found that, oh, this is the reason it is taking this much time. So it is of no use. Before our manuscript or the research idea gets outdated, it has to be published. Publish or perish. So it has to be done at the correct time. Check its publications per year, how many they put, whether it is a quarterly journal or biannual journal, or every 2 months they put, or it is a monthly ones. That duration you have to check. Check type of fees, how much publication fees is there. It is given very clearly for all the indexed journal websites. Then check whether it has. That's also very important. Check the length and structure of the manuscript. What is the length they are expecting? What is the structure they are expecting? That also you have to check. So now coming to the review process. How the review process done in ISI journal? See, once you submit your article, what happened to the next step? The basic criteria they will see whether she followed all the basic criteria. You know that what is a pattern of writing our manuscript, right? It will start with the abstract keywords and your introduction, WIMRAD format we will be following. But they will see whether it is basic criteria is being followed. The first screening will be done by the editor, chief editor. So he himself will reject or accept, because if it doesn't follow the basic criteria, in editor's desk itself, the author, that manuscript will come back to you. So they will mention incorrect references and all the comments, and it will return. Suppose it crossed the editor level, then it will be sent for the reviewers for peer review. Minimum 2 reviewers, sometimes 4 reviewers have been sent. So first reviewer and second reviewer, they give time of 3 weeks to 6 weeks. Within that time, they have to finish and send the review. Once it is accepted, it will come to the chief editor. Then the chief editor will see, and if he is not happy with the review comments, then he will send to the another reviewer also sometimes. Suppose the peer review fails, then if it is no from the first and second reviewer, he will send to the third reviewer also. And there is another reviewer always this chief editor will keep for English grammar and language check. So all those things, once it is finished, then it comes to the editor, then it will send to the author to revise it and submit it again. So when it goes to the honor, because we submit all these things in the manuscript management, editorial management system, not through the email or something. None of the indexed journal will ask you to submit your article through a Gmail. It will ask you to submit through the editorial management system. Please remember that is a check for you to identify whether it is a bogus journal or it is an indexed journal. So the second review comes. The second review, once the author revised the article, he will again submit it to the editor. Then the editor will send back to the same reviewers and see whether the corrections were carried out. If they agree, then it will be accepted for publication. Then they will send to the editorial board meeting. Then finally, it is getting published. So this is about the how to, why we have to publish it in ISI indexed journal or Hive indexed journal. I hope you all understood. So you can have points from the first session as well as from my session. If you club it together, I think you will get a good idea about why we have to publish in indexed journals, what is the process, and what are the criteria you have to keep in mind before publishing in ISI indexed journals. Coming to successful writing for academic publishing. So what are the criteria for academic publishing? How you can be successful in that? So this picture shows that publishing is very daunting, and the author is going with the manuscript. See, in between, so many are there to stop his work, or reviewers are there, editor is there. You have to undergo all these turmoil, then finally you have to reach, so your paper will get accepted. So never give up. So there are so many guidelines how to do publication in an indexed journal. So publishing in ISA index. See, before publishing in the index journal, you should have lot of questions in your mind. What are the questions you will have? Is my research worth publishing? So is it worth in publishing in that index journal, or it is a very old topic, or anything new, anything novel thing you want to communicate to your scientific area? Then is my research report describing an original and significant contributions to the research literature in my field or subfield? How can I prepare my research paper in the shortest possible time? Whether I will be able to prepare or not. How the journal acceptance procedure works, how many steps are needed, how to find a proper ISA journal for my research, how to increase the citation of my paper. All these questions, try to get an answer by yourself, then you start working on it. So there is a journalfinder.com. Here if you go, you will find all the journals which is suitable for your manuscript. Your manuscript is ready, you don't have any clue where you are going to publish. What you will do, you just type your paper title. If you click journalfinder.com, you will identify these are the subheadings, that is paper title, paper abstract, keywords. So you write your paper title, abstract, 300 words abstract you will be preparing now, that you insert it inside and put your keywords also. Immediately it will give a lot of solution for you. What are the apt journals where you can publish your manuscript, where it can be accepted? So what are the prerequisites for quality manuscripts? Thorough knowledge of research design. You should have a good knowledge about the research design and methodology. And you should have a basic knowledge about statistics and its interpretation. And you should have sound knowledge about publication ethics, critical appraisal skills of a scientific paper, and efficient writing skill also you should have. Then prerequisite before a well-conducted, ethically and scientifically sound project. If you have really conducted a project, definitely you will be able to publish it in an indexed journal. And when you write a manuscript, you have to keep all these points in mind. Always have the reader in mind, not the reviewer. Always you think that readers are the beneficiaries and reviewers are gatekeepers. So remember that readers are very important than the reviewers. So you have to think about it. They have to read and understand our content. Write simple English. That's very important. You need not to go for a hi-fi vocabulary and simple English. Use active voice. That the active voice, when you use, you will be able to accommodate more sentences because the words counts is very important in manuscript. Be a critic of the published literature. Any published literature, if you see any of the article which is published in any of the journal, don't think that it is great. So you try to critique. You all learned about how to critiquing, how to do a critic for the research article. You try to critique which is wrong in that, whether they followed the proper methodology, proper sample size calculation. So try to critique and try to avoid such kind of articles for reference. Be a self-critic, doubt yourself also. So what are the golden rules of academic writing? Write for a specific journal. So when you write for a specific journal, so don't waver your mind, read and adhere to the policy or guidelines of the paper. What is the word count and how much pages they are expecting, and what is the word count for each and every chapter that you identify, and follow the pattern which is mentioned there. Some of the journals are giving template also, follow it. Read a lot, write a lot, seek criticism in the form of feedback on your paper from the colleague. There is no harm in getting a feedback about your paper from your colleague who is good in writing. Then understand the publishing process. So how much time it takes. The moment when you submit in the editorial management system, don't think that, okay, the next for 2 weeks, my paper is going to be published. No, you should understand how much time you have to wait. Until the paper gets published, you don't wait. You start writing for the next paper. Then remember the ethical and legal issues. Treat rejection positively. Rejections are very common. Failure is the stepping stone of success. So when it gets rejected, whatever is suppose in the first point itself it is rejected, means either your reference style is wrong or you are not following the basic criteria. That is the meaning behind. But in the review page, when you reach to the review, try to address to the reviewer's comments so that at least if it is not accepted in this journal, your half work is done, your manuscript got refined properly so that it will be accepted in another journal. once it is getting rejected. Write for an international audience. Always when you write the paper, you write for an international audience. Means don't refine to the particular geographic area or particular population. You write for the international audience. And getting ready to write. So do review literature, write the introduction and methods before beginning your study. Writing introduction and methods section, requirement for the particular protocol. So I think I will skip this slide. What style you will follow? Embroidered style normally we are following for writing any manuscript. That is, abstract will be there, keywords should be there, then introduction or background of the study, materials and methods, then results and discussion, then conclusion and references. While writing for the references, it should be proper referencing style. If they use only Vancouver style, follow that. They are asking you to put superscript, use that superscript. All those things, see, because of the reference styles, most of the papers are getting rejected outrightly in the first step itself. So be careful. There are so many platforms available to do the referencing. So how to do the referencing very easily, that is also one of the topics which we are going to discuss in the last day of our, last day of our FDP. There you will be learning more about Mendeley's platform, how it helps for referencing. Then normally the background and discussion will be more words compared to other section. This is the example I have given. In a generally total 5,000 words, if they are asking for a particular manuscript, the introduction used to be 500 words, background 1,000, and methods will be 500, results will be 500, then discussion 2,000, conclusion will be 500. Most of the articles or most of the journals will never expose these things to the author. They will say 5,000, but you should be knowing that where you have to give more importance. Background and discussion. Discussion gives more weightage. There you are really going to discuss about your findings, what novel finding you identified, and how it is connected with other studies which is done earlier. Then you can use some softwares for your manuscript check also. Grammarly check, that is spell check come grammar, and Ginger spell check, all those things. It is a paid versions are available. Free versions are available for 7 days trial. You can check with that and try to submit. Before editing, never submit the paper. Before plagiarism also, never submit the paper. Before submitting, you have to check for plagiarism. You have to check for editing also. Then what are the ethical and legal issues in publication or writing the manuscript? One is copyright issue. Whoever is involved in that writing the manuscript, give weightage for them. What area of the part they contributed, that has to be mentioned very clearly. Then there is something called duplicate or redundant publication. That is, you publish the same content in 2 different journals, which is a duplicate publication, which is not legally correct. There is something called shotgunning. Shotgunning means submitting the same manuscript to more than one journal. Same manuscript, you are submitting more than one journal, then it is called shotgunning. See, that is why they always ask for an agreement whether you have submitted this manuscript to some other journal. You will say no. No means no one. Once this journal gets rejected, only you have to submit it to some other. Otherwise, ethically, it is not correct. Then salami slicing, that is slicing of the paper. You have a very good data of your PhD thesis. Instead of giving a one good quality paper, you are slicing that full manuscript or full thesis and giving into various different papers to different journals, which is called salami slicing, which is also not ethical. Then accuracy, then plagiarism check is also very important. If it is with the plagiarism, that is of legal one. Then conflict of interest, always they ask for, do you have any conflict of interest? That also we have to give agreement to them. Any financial conflict or any other personal conflict you have with the papers. Then these are some of the plagiarism software which we are using. You can just see there in the screen. These are readily available. You can put your manuscript there in the plagiarism software and see to that it is less than 10%. Then only in all the indexed journal it is getting accepted. There is another topic which is going to be discussed by another expert about plagiarism and how to avoid plagiarism in the forthcoming sessions. So the next is about what editors and they expect from the author. That is what they look for in the research paper. They look for the originality and relevance to whether see in which criteria they accept or reject your paper. They always look for originality, whether it is an original paper. What is your contribution in that? Whether it is relevant to the existing field. And research methodology or conclusions valid, whether the conclusions are valid, objectives are good, whether it has got a clarity, sound logical progression of argument, and experiment results, whether the references are correctly written, whether it is adhered to the scope of the editorial board or objectives of the journal. With these criteria only, they will decide whether to accept or reject the journal. Then certain important points before sending the paper. Many papers are rejected simply because they don't fill journal requirements. They don't even go into the review process. So identify a few possible target journals. Follow the author guidelines. Again and again, I am telling you, please read the author guidelines. That's very important. That is a kind of the Bible for you for publication. You have to read, yes, what is the author guideline. Each manuscript, each journal will ask for different criteria. So you have to follow that. Type of paper, word length, reference type, and find where to send your paper. Whether to send your paper to the editor or regional editor, where. Send an outline or an abstract and ask if this looks suitable and interesting. Like that, these kind of checks you have to do. Then the review. In the review process, what are the decisions they make? Whether they accepted without revisions, or they accepted with minor revisions, or they accepted with major revision, or rejected but encouraged to resubmit with revisions, and rejected, no revision will be accepted. Within this 5, anyone you will be receiving. If we receive the first one, it is well done. If it is received the second one also, don't give up. You will be able to get it. And major revisions also, don't give up. At least they accepted with major revisions. So you have the chance of getting it published. And even if it is rejected, but encouraged to resubmit with revision, there you work on that. Suppose if it doesn't get accepted in this journal, but you have refined your paper so that it will have more chances of getting accepted in the another journal. Then there are some problems. What are the reasons of rejection from ISI journals? It is classified into 3: general problems, scientific problems, and presentation problems. So what are the general problems? Scientific, name few, I will just tell you. The general problems are maybe it is not a original one. Failure to format the paper according to the guidelines of the author. If you don't follow all those things, which is all general problem. Some scientific problems are like simple sample biased or too small, or poor or weak design. The design is not correct, unclear hypothesis. And presentation problem. It is poorly written, poorly organized, careless errors, needless figures. So many figures some people try to put. It is all not necessary. So those things. So this picture depicts, see, the moment the rejection comes, don't go to this level. You have still chances of getting up from that. So there are some strategies also discussed here. Due to time constraint, I'm not going in depth. There are always, you can understand the chemistry of scholarly search, and you go and see the web page and see that what is really expected from the author. So you try to match with their expectation. Then you have more chances of getting your paper to be accepted. So to conclude, I think I rushed the topic because of time constraints. Anyway, to conclude, never give up. Everybody will have the chances of getting your papers get published there in the indexed journal. But for that, consistent and hard work is also essential. And once it is rejected, please don't give up. You start doing the revisions again and again. Definitely, very soon, it will be accepted in one or other journal. Hope you all understood. Thank you for your patience.